Hey, this is Rob. Welcome back to Co-Motion Adventures. And today I'd like to give you a little tour of my 2024 Aprilia Tuareg. I bought this bike about a year ago. I bought it brand new. It was a 2024 model in January of 2025, which I always recommend is the best time to buy a bike, is when it's just became last year's model and they got the new models in. You always seem to get the best deals. I did just a ridiculous amount of research for this bike. I don't even know why it was so difficult for me to pick a bike. I had spent far more money on buying new pickup trucks with less research, but I guess if you're looking at like a 1-ton truck, you have three choices. You're either buying a Ram, a Chevy, or a Ford. So there's just not the options there are when you're looking at adventure bikes. I wanted to make sure that whatever I picked, I was going to be happy long term with it. Get a little bit of background about myself. I'm 53 years old. I grew up racing motocross and supercross at a amateur level. I was probably never that good at it, but I really enjoyed it. Sure did have a lot of fun when I was younger doing so. I probably raced up to the point of about 30 years old. And I just didn't want to end up getting hurt and not being able to make mortgage payments and all that adult stuff you have to do. So I got out of it. Now I think I kind of looking around, it appears that I did what everybody that grew up doing that does at this point in their life. And I went out and bought an adventure bike. So it's still like having a big dirt bike. So I just feel at home on it. Now, I bought the same thing. I bought a KLR 650 when it had just became last year's model. I got a pretty fair deal on it, bought it brand new. And those bikes they're really good bikes. They really are. At their price point, you really can't beat them. It's a single cylinder motorcycle, a lot of vibration, only 5 speeds, not very comfortable on the freeway. It's just, it's a great bike for what it is. I would recommend one to anyone that was getting into riding. It's doesn't produce a lot of uncontrollable power. Very easy to learn on. They are pretty tall. If it's a bike that if you're someone that can't touch the ground on a taller bike, it may not be the right choice. You can find them used all over Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist or wherever you buy your used stuff from. They don't bring a lot of money used. They don't bring a lot of money new either. But if you want to get into adventure riding, I think it's a great bike to start on. When I bought mine, I hadn't even ridden a dirt bike from the age of 30 to about 47 years old. So, 17 years, I hadn't even thrown my leg over a motorcycle. And I wanted to get back into riding again. And so, the KLR is, they're very dependable. The bikes kind of went unchanged for a very long time, which makes it dependable, but not real cutting edge. But if you wanted to get into riding, it's a great bike to start on. It just is, you're not going to be overpowered on it. It's very forgiving. Just pick yourself up a used one at a third of the price of a new one. Now, when I was researching new bikes, I looked at a lot of different models, and one of the problems with adventure bikes is if you are riding them off-road, which I do, and you drop it, you need to be able to pick it up. It's and a lot of these adventure bikes are getting rather heavy. So it's very difficult if you're out riding and you can't pick your motorcycle up. If you drop it, then you're going to be in trouble. So you got to make sure that's something you're able to do. Now, there's basically 2 models out there that, even though they are still over 400-pound motorcycles, they carry their weight differently. They carry their weight down lower, and that's the KTM 890 Adventure. And then this bike, the Aprilia Tuareg. The 890 Adventure actually even has a lower tank. The tank's pretty much right at the bottom. It kind of surrounds the engine. But they also had some problems with that bike. Had some electrical issues. The company's had some financial hardships where they filed bankruptcy, and people that were having problems with their bikes were just struggling to get their problems taken care of. And that's just not something I was looking to get into. And it's not all their bikes. It was just certain ones. Now, Aprilia has been around a long time. They really didn't start, they ran in the sport bike industry. They were really well known around racetracks for sport bike racing. The adventure market has really taken off over the past 10 years. And they came out, I think, right around 2000 with this bike as their very first attempt at a adventure bike. And in my opinion, and also a lot of other reviewers' opinions that do nothing but motorcycle content, man, they hit it out of the park on this bike. It's just amazing what a great job they did with it. They really did their research. The engine is out of their sport bike. It's been detuned. It's just been changed. It produces its power differently, more at a low end power for adventure bike riding. I've climbed some rocky trails with this bike in second and third gear, and the bike lugged really well for a dual cylinder motorcycle that's a higher RPM motor. I was just really impressed at how well it lugged along, where my friends were riding single cylinders that were really more known for that kind of riding. And this bike was having absolutely no issue at all. It did just a fantastic job. Now, one of the other things that really I liked about this bike, there's quite a few, but this bike, it has rider modes where you can turn, if you put it in an off-road mode, you can turn it turns the traction control off, and it turns the ABS off, and all the things that you don't want when you're riding off-road. And one thing that this bike's pretty unique about is if you were to stall the bike climbing a hill or trying to get over rocks or whatnot, when you restart the bike, it remembers the setting you left it in. And so many of the other bikes, they go back to default, so they turn all that stuff back on, and then you're struggling to ride it off-road. And I didn't want to deal with any of that. So that was one of the selling points of this bike to me. The motor had been around a long time. Like I said, it's the same motor they ran in their sport bike. It's just been tuned differently. This is a 6-speed. It'll go down the freeway at 70 mile an hour, smooth as could be. It does not have a real high windshield, so you do get a little bit of air, but I don't spend a lot of time on the freeway. I bought it to hit back roads, not to spend on the freeway, but occasionally I got to get on the freeway to get to my next area. So talking about the center of gravity and getting your weight down lower is you can have two motorcycles that both weigh 450 pounds, but when it's sitting on its side, if that weight is more centered down low, it's way easier to pick that motorcycle back up. And this motorcycle, it's kind of hard to see here. I'll try to bring you in closer here. But this up here is actually the air box on this motorcycle. And the gas tank actually starts down lower here. It's down and kind of runs up underneath the seat here. Sorry, I can't really see my hand here. So the center of gravity on this bike is definitely lower than like the Yamaha Tenere. The KLR is a very top-heavy motorcycle. So when I'm riding this bike, I can definitely feel, even though the bikes weigh the same, it feels way lighter. So that is definitely a huge selling point of this motorcycle for me. I've owned it a year. I've put 5,000 miles on it, and I've done absolutely nothing to it. Changed oil on it. It's probably due for another oil change. I changed it after 1,000, so it's got about 4,000 miles on this oil change. But it's just to show you some of the things I've done to it. When you buy an adventure bike, one of the first things you're always going to want to do is protect it, because you are eventually going to drop it, and you don't want to damage all your plastic and stuff here. You want to be able to take good care of it. So These are from a company out of Texas, I believe, called T-Rex. And I bought all this stuff, paid full price for it. I'm not sponsored by anyone. I would love to be, so reach out to me. But this was all something I bought just like anybody else would. But the T-Rex crash bars here, you know, they're really stout. They really do a nice job. And I got their skid plate as well. And the reason I went with their skid plate over anyone else's skid plate, and this might seem kind of silly, the deciding factor, but the oil filter's back here, and you can take this screw right here out, and the screw in the bottom, and you can pop that little window out to get to the oil filter. And everybody else's skid plates, you got to remove the entire skid plate to get to the oil filter. And I didn't see anyone else doing this other than T-Rex. You can see the brand here. If you're interested in purchasing their stuff. Okay, so I went with these. It's highway dirt bikes, HDB, and I like the design of their crash bar, or not the crash bars, but their hand guards. They're very, very sturdy, and they includes a new clamp on top here, and it bolts right in here instead of being clamped to the bar here. So if you were to hit the ground with it, it transfers all that impact all the way over instead of just in this short area here like a lot of the other designs do. One of the things I thought was really slick about this design were these fold-out mirrors. You can see this mirror right here. It just kind of tucks in behind here. It comes out like that. So when you're riding off-road, you can just tuck that right back in there like that. And it locks right in there. And it's protected. And then when you come down and you lay it in the dirt, it protects these levers from getting broken. Now I'm running the Garmin Zumo XT2. It's been a phenomenal GPS. I haven't had any issues with it as well. It's supposed to be, according to them, military grade. You know, so it's been no problem. I can turn this on. You can kind of see everything come on here. And there's the display on the bike itself. And then I'm running the quad lock system for my phone. And this is the wireless charger. So I just got to clip it on there and I'm good to go. Now I put the Oxford heated grips on this bike. Now Aprilia does offer factory grips, and there is a factory spot for wiring in their factory grips. But from everything I've read, these are the Oxford grips. Everything I've read, their grips don't get very hot, the Aprilia ones. They cost about 3 times as much as the Oxfords. And I was able to, without drilling any holes or modifying a whole lot of anything, I was able to wire these directly into the Aprilia heated grip wires. It shows up on the dash, so it's controlled through the factory dash instead of the extra controls that come with the Oxford grips. And they get way hotter than the Aprilia grips. So they're way hotter and they cost 1/3 as much. So to me, that was kind of a no-brainer. So we'll go back here. I'm running the SW Motech bags. These are quick release. They've been phenomenal. Real happy with them. These are the ones that have the inside roll up, whatever you want to call it, bladder or whatever, that you roll down and then close the top over top of it, and it keeps everything dry even if you get caught in a downpour. Also running their SW Motech tank bag. Looking forward to riding this bike a whole lot more. I have a BDRX. It's a Backroads Discovery. You can look them up online. They do trips all over the United States. There's no charge for the trips. It's just a pre-planned out route that you can download off their website. You can definitely donate to them, which I'd highly recommend. They'll send you some stickers, and then also I think you can get probably shirts and other stuff, and that helps them, basically finance being able to go out and plan new trails and roads and stuff that you can do these trips on, which are phenomenal. But I'll be doing one in Pennsylvania here this spring, and I'll be taking you with me, and I'll show you what that's all like. Really appreciate you watching. Again, my name's Rob. You're watching Co-Motion Adventures. And this guy here, his name is Earl. And he really appreciates you watching too. Thank you so much. Bye.